Do you have an intro for the show?
Hello, everybody. I should make an intro. Our friends behind the scenes, actually I'm the only behind the scenes, but I'm in front of the camera, said we should have an opening intro for the show. That's a great idea. If anybody out there is a musician or knows a musician and would like to create maybe a 10-second music introduction to Torn Tuesdays, I think I can edit or animate something. That'd be super fun. We got a lot of talented. Maybe I can ask Noelle Stevenson, Ginger Hayes, to animate something for us. Like that'd be super cool because she's down with the broship. How are you, everybody? My name's Justin, and usually I'm here with Cliff, but he's late, so I got Easy ET with me today. I see a lot of our regulars in the chat room. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Tolkien, Hobbit, and Lord of the Rings. We are live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Live, 5 p.m. Pacific. At the theonering.net/live. We're also on Ustream, and we're using all this fancy iPad stuff, for video switching. So I can actually, bring up pictures like that myself. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm about to show you something cool. So we're pretty fancy. Spirited Book, I see in the chat room. Sarah is in there. I saw Ellen Design in there. Everybody say hello. Let me know you're here, because my thing says on air, but until I see people in the chat room say, hey, I see you guys, welcome. You know, we do our show every week from Meltdown Comics Hollywood, the biggest source of all things geek. It's basically the center of geekdom. Meltdown Comics, it's on Sunset Boulevard, right in Hollywood. Look it up, Sunset Boulevard, right next to the Chinese Theater and right next to the old House of Blues. I mean, we're right in the middle of everything. And, you know, there's so many things have come out of Meltdown. And on the other side of this wall is the Nerdist podcast room, where Nerdist does all of his interviews. We've got the Nerd Melt Theater right below us, and tonight Chris Hardwick is shooting a TV demo, so that starts at 8 o'clock. It's a free show. If you're in LA, come to Meltdown. 8 o'clock, Chris Hardwick is doing a beta test of a new show. They've got lights, they've got cameras, so it might get a little noisy in the last half of the show, so bear with us, because they're just setting up lights and everything like that. We've got in the chat room, everybody's saying hello. People are streaming the Shadow of Mordor gameplay. Yeah, I love that game too. Speaking of Shadow of Mordor, this has nothing to do with Shadow of Mordor, but guess what they just got in at Meltdown? Pop vinyl Sauron. Look at that, pop vinyl Sauron to go with pop vinyl Tauriel. That's crazy. We've got pop vinyl Sauron, pop vinyl Tauriel. This Sauron, you know, I was gonna say available at Meltdown Comics, but I might just buy this myself. This is pretty cool. No, I won't. Save. I gotta put things on my Christmas list. People say I'm hard to buy for. This pop vinyl Sauron is at Meltdown Comics. Make your way to Hollywood this week and grab it, and pick up Tauriel. She's lonely too. You can't have one pop vinyl without the other. So pick up both of them because they're awesome. Speaking of Meltdown, we've got some big news. Since we're in the Meltdown family here, and we do it from the attic, you see, this is brick wall. This isn't a green screen like a lot of those other shows, and this isn't fake brick from like Home Depot, that faux brick, and like, this is a real Reddit sticker. This is a real photo painting. That's real brick. This place was built in the teens, I think. So, but thanks to our friends at Meltdown, we're gonna be at Kamicazi. We just confirmed we have a 10x10 booth. I'm bringing the barrel. Barrel's full of fun. Get your photo op in our barrel photo op. And they just emailed me yesterday, said, hey, would you guys like a panel? So we're going to do a panel Sunday, November 1st at Kamicazi, 11 a.m. TheOneRing.net will present a panel on all the goodies in the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies Extended Edition, which we're going to preview tonight right here on the show. As soon as my co-host gets here, we're going to talk all about the exclusives in the Extended Edition. But we'll talk about that at the panel as well in person. And we just confirmed, I just got a text message right before we went on the air. William Kircher will join us at the panel. So he'll have all the scoop, all the diggity dog of what made it into the final film and what he shot that didn't make it in the final film. It's going to be great. We're just going to have fun with it. You know, the movies are out. The DVD's almost out. You can get it on iTunes right now in some countries. So let's just go for broke. Let's talk about everything that we know that they shot. So Ellen Design is asking, what? You'll be at Kamicazi Analog Panel? Yes, we have a booth. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at our booth. I have a big photo op at our booth. And we'll have this t-shirt, which is a huge popular shirt. I woke up this morning to so many orders. Cliff and I are going to be shipping our brains out and not writing stories. I mean, like packaging and shipping shirts via the postal service. So many people ordered this shirt last night. I don't know. This shirt has been around for 2 years, and there's a thing called Star Wars that's coming out. So this shirt picked up in popularity. It's crazy. It's huge. Shirts you can buy in store here at Meltdown. You can buy them online at shop.theonering.net. And as you know, the ads that you see on this show support the Ustream channel, and they don't support us. They support Ustream. So Jan Nicholson in the chat room says, I emailed Warner Brothers 5 different Warner Brothers emails today just to let them know that it's unacceptable that the EE is not out in all countries. Now here, hold on one second. The Extended Edition Battle of Five Armies is out in the United States. It's on iTunes right now. You can go download it, go watch it. If you got a VPN, go do it. But if you go to our YouTube channel and you look at our past episodes, there's an episode called Blade Gate where we spent too much time looking at the subtitles of every international version of Lord of the Rings. Some of them say blade, some of them say line. Some people were brought up thinking he says the line was broken, and some people say the blade was broken. Well, every country in every language, the subtitles may be wrong. So I'm actually kind of happy that Warner Brothers slowed their roll and they're taking their time. Hopefully they're taking their time with all the subtitles and all the dubbing so we don't have any more of those Blade Gate mistakes. Huge controversy. I don't know if it's controversy. It's just fan talk. Whatever. So if it takes extra time to make the subs and dubs right internationally, then have at it. So come to Kamicazi. We're going to have so much fun. We've got these shirts. We've got other shirts. We've got some amazing stuff. And look, you know who else is in town? William Kircher. He's going to stop by the booth. He'll do some autographs, some photo ops. We're trying to get Sean Astin down. We're trying to get a few other people down. Let's just have fun at Kamicazi. It's going to be super, super fun. And if you're watching this show, when you check out, go to the website, kamikazeexpo.com, and you check out, and you type in the word, all caps, MELT, M-E-L-T. You'll get 15% off your tickets. So it's the best deal in town. So Loot Crate's got a special as well, but they only give you 10%. Meltdown and the One Ring right here, because we're all family. Kamicazi get 15% off. So buy your tickets now and show them that our fandom will attend. So we got a panel on Sunday at Kamicazi, and then we got a booth all weekend, and we're bringing the barrel. It's gonna be so much fun. Ellen Design says the shirt is backwards to you. Wow, that's weird. You know what? Let me see if this fixes it. You tell me if this fixes it right here. Watch. How is that? Did that fix it? It seems like Amazon UK will sell the Blu-ray box set 1 week before the Blu-ray of just... Oh, I see what's happening. So there's controversy because looks like Amazon and Warner Brothers are selling the 3-movie box set, the Hobbit trilogy box set, a week before just Battle of Five Armies extended edition on its own. So if you already have the first 2 extended editions, you have to wait an extra week. Yeah, and they wonder why people pirate stuff. It's crazy. I don't know. You have a good point there, Jan. So check out the shirts, check out Sauron, and Cliff's finally here, I think. And guess what he got? Da 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 da.
Bum bum ba bum 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 bum. That's not focusing, is it?
I don't know. Well, they get it. That is the golden ticket.
I got a golden ticket.
Disney's El Capitan. Disney owns that theater, world famous El Capitan. That is a ticket to the 7-movie Star Wars marathon.
The mega marathon, starting at 1 a.m., continuing through the overnight hours to be the first audience in the morning to see Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
And there's a
How about that?
There's a whole different group that didn't want to go see the whole, pay $50 to see the 7-movie marathon. They just want to see the new movie, so they're lining up at the Chinese theater across the street. Now, we've done line events and line parties for all the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies at the Chinese theater.
Always.
And we've been to events here at the El Capitan. What's your vibe on Star Wars fandom right now? You were there with the diehards that were there at the theater to get these tickets. What's your vibe on Star Wars fans versus Hobbit fans the last few years?
It's a fascinating comparison. It's the very first comparison that we want to draw. It's the first thing that you want to look at. How is it the energy level of Star Wars fans, which had been relatively subdued after the critical failure of the episodes 1, 2, and 3, the prequels? Well, they made their money, but they were not loved or adored by as many as the original trilogy.
The Hobbit made twice as much money as the Star Wars prequels.
Isn't there an analogy there, perhaps? Perhaps you could say that the Hobbit trilogy did the same thing that the Star Wars prequel trilogy did. It polarized the fandom in several ways. It made a camp of, younger and older fans much more apparent. It made that distinction much more clear with the Hobbit. But still, it made lots and lots and lots of money in home video, especially. We've got the extended edition coming out like right around the corner. The digital copy on iTunes will be out any day.
It's out today
it's
in
out
the
today.
U.S.
In the United States, it's out today. Heaven help me, I'm 24 hours behind. And then you've got to look at the energy of fans of Star Wars as they're being re-energized and brought back to the theatrical experience. Oh, look, a wonderful pen.
Yes.
Is it a magic
Toy
pen?
kills.
Does it write magic letters?
It says toys kill.
Really? It says toys kill?
It says toys kill.
Well, only in that horror movie where the toys come to life and chop everybody
It's
up.
a heavy pen though. It feels like a good pen.
Is there some kind of
that is a good sword.
evil curse artifact inside this pen?
Disrupting your show.
No. Well, I mean,
Well, I like it.
hardly disruption.
Well, you can.
We get crashed all the time on our show. Let me tell you, the theater experience of seeing fans of Star Wars come right up to the box office and line up, it is unbelievable. It's fantastic to see them revitalized.
Yeah.
Maybe that is the word everyone's looking for. It's a revitalization of Star Wars fandom, which has kept itself under a lid, maybe under a pressure cooker style of lid, for many years. But now J.J. Abrams has been handed the helm. He's been handed the big crown, the feather in his cap. He's running this whole show, and we don't know to what degree Mr. Lucas is actually coming in and putting his fingerprints, his thumbprints on the product, but just the experience of standing in line with fans to see a trailer.
Yeah, a trailer.
You can't get Hobbit fans to stand in line just to see a Hobbit trailer. That wouldn't have happened. Because of the response that the Hobbit fans have had to the films.
People did go to the theater for the first Hobbit film, for the first trailer on the first Hobbit film before we'd even seen any of those movies.
Oh yes, for an unexpected journey.
Far to the east. Remember that epic line from Gandalf.
Yeah, that's true. But I tell you what, the energy is different. In an understated way, the energy is different because I see like older fans. Like there was a bunch of older guys. You know, I'm in my mid-40s, but there were some older people who were there. They were reading Star Wars books, Star Wars novelizations. I don't know if it was Knights of the Old Republic or some new Star Wars thing they were reading. All of them were texting, taking pictures of their tickets. They were receiving images of tickets that their friends were buying so they could match up what seats they were going to sit at so they could be adjacent to each other in the auditorium. The energy was very strong, very palpable. It was so great to be there. The Mr. James, believe it or not, his name is James Woods. Not the actor, but the guy who's in charge of the El Capitan Theater, who's the head manager of the whole thing for Disney. He's been there at the El Cap for 12 or 16 years. I spoke to him in person before he was interviewed by KEBC on live television.
Yes.
Cheers, sir, to your health. Cheers to your health.
Cheers to
We've got a proper little... a pint of 1420.
We're going to celebrate the
Cheers,
release
cheers.
of the Hobbit
The release
Extended
of the Hobbit
Edition.
Extended
The
Edition.
final Hobbit of all, the final Middle Earth film, as far as we know right now.
As far as we know, until
is
there's another
now
announcement.
out.
Yes, the final. To the very final.
Yes.
In other words, one more time, one more time.
Yes.
That's the new hashtag, one more time, one more time.
That someone in the chat room accurately brings up the point.
Oh, God,
When-
it tastes like cough syrup.
When Harrison Ford appeared in the trailer, I immediately believed that he was Han Solo. And we tweeted this earlier today. Some actors get lost in the characters. When you look at that screen and you see Gandalf, you don't see Ian McKellen. You see Gandalf. Ian McKellen disappears. That man is Gandalf. He's only Gandalf.
Do you know how true that is? But
And-
Ian McKellen is a master of disguise. He's
Right.
a master of Shakespeare. He can do anything. I mean, I've seen his King Lear live on stage. Mind-blowing. But when he's Gandalf, he's only Gandalf. And no confusion can be made.
Same with Harrison Ford as Han Solo. So
That was a real kick
that
to
I
see.
didn't see Harrison Ford. I saw he's in the trailer. I saw him. He spoke, and I'm just like, that's not Harrison Ford. That's not the guy who did Clear and Present Danger. That
It's
is
not the guy
Han
who did The
Solo.
Fugitive. It's not the guy who did The Fugitive.
That's
It's a
Han
different
Solo.
character. How about that hug between Princess Leia and Han Solo? To see Carrie Fisher...
To see old Carrie
see-
Fisher
to-
with the eyes and the wrinkles.
She looks
like,
lovely, but she
looks
looks like
great.
Leia. She looks like Leia.
Yes.
And Carrie Fisher's done lots and lots of other TV appearances and special shows.
And written books and directed movies.
Written fabulous books. And she's gone on, as we say in this industry, she has left behind the field of acting to become a multi-hyphenate. That means you're a director, hyphen, producer, hyphen,
Oh, look who
performer,
just joined the
hyphen,
show.
writer. She's fantastic.
Our
What's that?
friends, the Hollywood Show, just joined.
Well, hello, Hollywood Show.
You just
Hello,
show up
Hollywood.
and smile.
It's
Well,
so good to see you.
You have to come to LA and join us in line for Star Wars. In fact, many of the
Yes, you do.
people at the OneRing.net were met originally in the Star Wars line before the One Ring was even founded
Yes.
in the fall of 1999.
This
we
is
were
true.
all in line together in May 1999.
This is how we met.
Calisari,
This is how we became old
everybody.
friends.
So without the Star Wars line at the Chinese theater, the One Ring may have not come to pass.
So we invite all of you, even our closest friends and faraway friends who've never come to join us, take a little trip down to the West Coast to the Left Coast. Come and see us in LA and join us for this amazing experience at either the El Cap or the Chinese Theater. Let me tell you something. Hollywood sisters, lots of love to you. It's always a pleasure to have you on the
Yes,
show.
so
but
good.
let me tell you, did you get a feeling when you saw Kylo Ren?
I don't know any of their names. I'm
But
trying.
the new villain,
Yes.
who's played by Adam
Driver.
from Girls, HBO's Girls.
I don't-
Adam Driver as
I don't watch that show.
Kylo Ren. Oh, it's a great show. Completely different from the kind of shows we talk about here in science fiction fantasy land, but it's a great show. Adam Driver up against Mr. Bottega.
Yep, John.
With his blue lightsaber against that evil red lightsaber. What a moment. A moment that just made everyone in the auditorium just jitter and jump and cheer. There was cheering. So fantastic.
excited.
So exciting.
Well,
Now,
we've got an amazing show today because the Battle of Five Armies Extended Edition is out today. We saw it last week in theaters on the big screen.
lots to report about. I've been getting text messages from dwarf actors all day
Yeah, we were just
they're so excited that their special hero scenes are
in this movie. We've seen it.
Which is what
many
should
of
have
you
been
seen
in the
it.
first place.
So
Yes.
people, new people in the chat room saying I didn't know this was a chat about Star Wars universe. No, we're just really, really excited about the Star Wars trailer that just came out. And look, there's no more Hobbit movies.
There's no more Hobbit movies.
This is the golden
but
ticket.
There is an Andy Serkis involved, so all of our dreams of what Andy Serkis is going to do next, besides the very successful Planet of the Apes franchise, we get to see our beloved Gollum, our own Smeagol, doing great things that are yet to be revealed in the Star Wars universe. I'm interested in all elements of crossover between Middle Earth films and Star Wars films.
And Kieran Shaw is in it as well as one of the main characters on the desert planet.
Yes, Kieran Shaw,
who played Frodo Baggins.
He did. Oh, did you see that picture that was posted by History in Pictures on Twitter just yesterday?
Yeah, we did that a few weeks ago.
It was just a few days ago. Wait a minute. The Star Wars crossover to Middle Earth saga, it cannot go
Gandalf
without mentioning Sir Christopher Lee
as Saruman and Count Dooku.
So believe us, there's a lot of legitimate elements that we love to embrace in both universes. But what is interesting to me, I'm always talking about this because I'm fascinated by how the films are made very expensively. It's a high-risk gamble, a lot of money at stake. But then I'm interested in looking at how marketing is done, how the Hobbit films were successfully marketed versus how...
No, they were not successfully marketed.
Well, let's put it that way. How the Hobbit films comparatively against the way the new Star Wars films are being marketed to essentially the same audience.
Yes.
Go.
No, we can do a whole show comparing Star Wars marketing against Hobbit marketing, but the thing is...
I've never seen Hobbit fans stand in line for a special trailer, reading Hobbit books, texting pictures of tickets to Hobbit fans. I never saw that from the Hobbit fan collective.
And
except for maybe the first film. When the first film came out, that's when I saw that energy.
And no Star Wars fan has ever put together an Oscar party like the one last party. So
Lucas wouldn't allow it.
No Star Wars fan group has ever done what Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and Tolkien fans have done, as far as on the parties that we do at Dragon Con and New York Comic Con and at Kamicazi, like all the stuff that we do.
Yes.
It's very tightly controlled by Lucasfilm. You don't see a lot of fan groups like doing stuff, but the fans have a lot more freedom to play.
They do
in Middle Earth.
Indeed. We can talk very briefly about the fact that the Lord of the Rings movies were all Oscar-caliber films that ultimately won 11 out of 11 awards, the biggest Oscar sweep in the history of the Academy Awards. Thank you, Return of the King, for doing that. Do you think any of the 6 existing Star Wars films, any of them, were Oscar-worthy for Best Picture quality?
No, none of them were.
None of them?
It was just fun. They're just fun movies.
Yeah? Okay. So. Would you like to see future J.J. Abrams installments?
No. I don't want that seriousness.
Would you like another level?
No,
I don't. Really?
Star Wars does not need to be heavy.
So you think it's better as a more pop culture thing instead of a heavy drama?
Yeah.
Okay, you think
Star Wars is not... Star Wars is pop. It's pop and it's fun, and it doesn't need to go... it doesn't need to be heavy enough for an Oscar... for a serious Oscar movie. So I hope it looks like that they're keeping the fun in this, but you know
it does. It really does.
The big thing yesterday was Star Wars. The big thing today is Hobbit: Battle of Five Armies Extended Edition on DVD.
20 minutes longer.
Not on DVD, on iTunes.
On digital copy. High definition download.
But you do get
on iTunes
all the bonus features as we know it.
And we have a little surprise, do we not?
We have tons of previews. We're going to go through a lot of cool stuff that's on the Extended Edition Battle of Five Armies.
Did you get the stuff from the appendices?
Like this picture.
Oh yes, we've got an inside angle from someone who really is very, very proud of their work, and it's very exciting to share with you today. How about this?
Look at that. That is Gandalf and Michael Gambon.
That's Gandalf and Michael Gambon?
That's Ian McKellen and Michael Gambon.
That is not Michael Gambon.
That's what they're saying.
That can't be. Michael Gambon played Dumbledore. He replaced Richard Harris in all the Harry Potter films.
That's what they're saying.
That, I think, is Ian McKellen holding on to a dummy. Is that a physical dummy for him?
A dummy?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they named the dummy.
They named the dummy Gambon.
Did they?
I would imagine.
Did they name the dummy?
I don't think Mr. Gambon had any time to go running down to New Zealand to do the little Gandalf
Do
makeup.
you think?
Who said that was Michael Gambon?
Well, that they say that on the appendices.
On the appendices, really?
Yeah.
Well, then that might be a very special little Easter egg that nobody has ever revealed until now. If it is true, then it's one of the biggest crossovers from Harry Potter universe, specifically Dumbledore to Gandalf crossover.
It does look like Dumbledore.
Does that look like Michael Gambon under all that makeup?
I don't know.
Wow.
Look at this great shot.
So cool.
Of the wizards, and obviously this is early in the movie because look at that staff. Gandalf does not have a staff. Radagast is holding his staff, and they're both talking to Beorn.
Yes.
So this scene must happen way early in the story.
Maybe, because we've never seen Radagast and Beorn together actually having a conversation.
No, we have not.
We have not.
And Radagast has his staff, and as we know, Gandalf has his staff in Fellowship of the Ring, has that staff in Fellowship of the Ring. So, what is going on here? What is going on here?
I wonder. But in the extended edition shots of BOTFA, we don't see these three characters together.
That scene is not in the extended edition Battle of Flying Armies. So where
does it go?
It goes in the special edition, extended edition, which I promise you will happen at some point. But that
I don't know about that.
That's an important scene I want to see.
You're still predicting that's a real probability.
Anonymous in the chat room says, "I wish Guillermo del Toro had directed The Hobbits. Lots of practical over CGI." We totally agree 110%. In fact,
I agree for sure. I would have been quite happy to have seen The Hobbit exist as a 2-film structure instead of ended up being separated into a 3-film set. I would have been very intrigued. Now, having just watched Crimson Peak, I can recommend it to you based upon this concept. It's not a horror film at all.
It's a romance.
It is a very gothic romance.
It's a gothic romance.
It is a beautiful,
that's all it is.
beautiful gothic romance.
The age of innocence with black walls.
With the age of innocence, which is the most unsung of all Martin Scorsese's movies.
Yes.
That's amazing that you would bring up that reference. I'm very impressed with this guy. Take a gothic romance like Jane Eyre, or certainly Eustacia Vi, who appears in Thomas Hardy's Return of the Native. We're talking about that kind of gothic romance, the kind you read about in those school-assigned books in English class, Return of the Native. But add a few smatterings of ghosts here and there, and you've got a gothic romance disguising itself as a ghost story. But it's really, really beautiful. Now, I looked at these shots, and I look at the attention to detail, and I think to myself, wow, what an interesting thing, an interesting color and flavor Mr. Del Toro
would have brought
brings.
that to Middle-earth.
Del Toro would have brought that to Middle-earth in a whole different way.
Speaking of colors,
it would have been very interesting.
I really need your input because, again, I hadn't read the books yet, but what kind of axe is Dane Ironfoot holding there?
It is a red axe. It is a red. It is not mentioned in the Tolkien stories. It is not mentioned specifically in The Hobbit or in any History of Middle-earth books. But this red axe, it doesn't look like... Now, Billy Connolly is here as Dane Ironfoot.
That's real. That's the real what they shot on set. That's not the CG replacement.
The CG replacement axe didn't look so bloody, did it?
That looks like that's a bloody red axe,
but orc blood is not red.
No, and
it's black.
In the movie, he has a sledgehammer. He has, because remember, ding ding ding. He doesn't have an axe in the movie.
He has a battle hammer. Yes, a very, very large and heavy battle hammer.
I want to see Dane Ironfoot whoop some orcs with that red axe.
This is a beautiful design. And look, there's the team.
So
is that the effects team from Weta behind him in that shot?
Yeah, that's a little bit of this the scene.
This is awesome.
What else? There was something else that was very curious. What is this?
Oh, that is a Palantir being held right in front of Gandalf's face. Who I don't know whomsoever
you.
is holding this. I don't know. I don't know who's holding that in front of him.
That's
that
that's
arm?
the statue.
Does that arm? Is that a statue?
Yeah.
That's a statue.
Yes.
Oh, so it's not a real Palantir. It's a statue. Well, Gandalf bumps into it, evidently. He's face to face with it. This is fascinating.
The crazy thing is that, check this scene out. Another acorn scene.
Another acorn scene?
This is not in the extended edition. Again, another scene that was filmed. A key moment with the acorn that they left out of the edition. Why is Dane... Is that the Lake Town set? Wait, people in the chat room. Hold on.
Why is Dane on Lake Town set? Oh gosh, he is. You are right! He is inside Lake Town. In the movie, he never got to that location.
So this must have been early. This must have been like, I will not fight for you early.
How about maybe this is some early test footage they did?
That's not test footage.
Maybe they were doing that kind of test footage with that weapon and then decide to change it later on. We can do nothing but speculate. But now, getting back to our friends in the chat room. Pete, Northrunner, I agree with you, Northrunner, when you say right there that Gothic romance disguising itself as a ghost story. That sounds like Kelly Rice's book, Darkling. Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Absolutely, we're in Darkling territory. You know Kelly Rice's lovely book.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Rice, our friend who hosts the wonderful
Happy
Hobbit, the Happy Hobbit podcast.
Yes.
Now, someone was just saying here, in Pete was saying this in the chat. He said, I also think that the Battle of the Five Armies Extended Edition could have been released as the theatrical.
Yes.
We all agree.
Yes.
We all agree
it was the movie we were meant to see.
It was the movie we should have had as a theatrical experience. Indeed. We all agree on that.
Absolutely. It's crazy
Absolutely.
that they didn't include it. But let's see what else is not in the extended. But
hold on, Eravandi says that someone wrote out what the acorn scene on that Hobbit message boards was. It sounded really touching. Wow.
Do tell us in the chat room or call us on the hotline. Text us.
Yeah, text us.
530-64-FRODO. 530-64-FRODO.
Area code 530-6-4 FRODO. Come on. Call us. Text us. Yeah, the number's right there on the screen, isn't it? So I'm intrigued by everything that's going on with this behind-the-scenes stuff.
Look at this pre-production artwork.
Wow.
Of the armies looking at the dragon in the clouds.
Oh.
And then look.
Damn, that's cool.
Look at this.
Wow.
As he looks over Pride Rock, straight out of Lion King.
That does look like Smaug on Pride Rock.
That's what I wanted. I wanted Smaug scaring the orcs out of commission. Like, hey, don't mess with my mountain, yo. That looks insane. And then
yes, it does.
Just more of the pre-production. Again, all of this is part of the appendices, the behind-the-scenes features in the Hobbit Extended Edition.
These appendices are called Appendices Part 11 and Part 12. They go in numerical order with the first 6 levels of appendices that came with the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. Oh, way back when, like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
But take a look. Our friends on the inside, who've been working very, very hard on these amazing behind-the-scenes features, they have said that this is the best collection of behind-the-scenes exclusives and the very best appendices that have ever appeared on any of the 6-film saga.
Of course.
They're very proud. Because it's their last chance to show their best. Isn't it?
No, of course. It makes the best is that a lot of this stuff that is the best isn't even in the damn movie.
Yeah, this is super intriguing that they shared, and we're grateful. I have to say, thank you, Mike. Thank you. All of our friends at Michael Pellerin's production house. What a great group of people working over there. Thank you for sharing. Again, this is an exclusive that you will see here on the OneRing.net, not anywhere else on any Tolkien fan site anywhere. We're showing you exclusives for the appendices.
Valentine Radishev says in the chat room.
I love Valentin Radushev. Welcome back to our chat, my friend. I know this guy. He's a great friend of
Really?
Torin. He's a very good friend of Torin.
Have
He's
you
a great
noticed
guy.
that the scene in which Gandalf looks over the Palantir, he has his AUJ staff, his original staff, the same staff he lost against Sauron when he got imprisoned, which means that this was a scene taking place somewhere
in Desolation of Smaug, before the staff gets destroyed.
Now,
yes, that is true. You're right.
Look
You're
at
quite correct, Mr. Radishev.
Are you ready for your minds to be blown?
Quite ready, sir. Quite ready for another adventure.
What is up with this shot right here? He is grabbing. It looks like he's breaking through the mold. And you can see a shiny Palantir just above his index finger.
Holy shit. He's dusting that off. Gandalf is finding the Palantir, and it's been disguised as a stone statue. Holy shit.
And he's got his original staff.
That means there's material relative to that Palantir happening at Dol Guldur that we have been denied in all versions of all of these films.
Even the extended edition.
Even the extended. All versions. I mean all versions.
How does this make you feel? That
ripped off. It makes me feel ripped off because it is one of the most interesting pieces of narrative thread that I wanted desperately to see in the Hobbit films. So you're going to tell me, and Valentine Radushev, you are so correct in pointing this out. Thank you for making that distinction. Justin, do you know what this means? We should have seen that damn Palantir in the Desolation of Smaug extended edition.
So special edition, extended edition?
I have to concede the point. After years of bickering with him, I can no longer argue.
Success, yes.
I have to concede the point to you, sir. It seems that we've been duped all along. You guys, it might be quite true what Justin has been forewarning us for many, many, many moons. Not only are there going to be extended editions of these films.
Look at this shot. Who doesn't?
The proof is now here that they shot so much more material.
This is before he gets captured in the dungeon. He's still got his original staff. It's not broken. He's found the Palantir.
Before we get any further, do you think it's going to come out? Is it going to come out in fourth quarter of 2015?
I don't know.
Or fourth quarter 2016?
I don't know.
Well, that's going to give Peter a whole year to put more shots together. Do you know what that means, guys? It means there's more forthcoming, and we might ultimately get a mega, super special, what you'd call the Lucas treatment. We're going to get the special edition versions of all extended edition, all 6 films, which will add even more content than what we have now. And that means we're going to have to buy the product over and over and over again.
And I will happily spend the money because
there you go.
I had a lot of fun watching this movie. This extended edition is a great movie worth watching. It's just fun. It's one of those movies you can just put on, have a lot of fun. Put it on during Thanksgiving. Everybody's watching football in the other room. You put on extended edition Battle of Five Armies
in the other room.
And you'll have a great time
with the other part of the family who doesn't want to watch the football game.
Anonymous says, "Calm down. It doesn't mean that at all."
Who's that?
He says it doesn't mean that at all. I have to believe. But I'll tell you.
Well, Anonymous 7195. We have no confirmation, of course. This is our own, joyous, very energetic fanboy speculation. But logically, when you put the pieces together and you know that they want to monetize it in every chance they can to make money off of it,
they would be smart to do so.
They would be very, very, very smart to bring out what he has ascribed months ago. There's going to be additional 6, maybe it will just be a mega 6-movie boxed set. And the only way for any person on the retail side to get access to these added special editions is to buy the 6 movies collected as a set. It might never be released one as single retail items.
And I will tell you this,
but it makes sense to me.
Warner Brothers,
it really does.
I hope you're listening.
Look at this content you've got.
Warner Brothers, it's okay. You can do this. When Star Wars released, we were bummed about the special edition, but we still bought it. And then you re-released it 8 different times on DVDs, with little tweaks here and there. And then we got to the prequels. You burned us on the prequels. They weren't that good, but we still bought them. We still bought the special edition Star Wars. Look, Star Wars set the standard. It's okay. It's okay to put the special edition. Let Peter Jackson finish editing and put that scene back in. This is why they say, this is why some of the filmmakers have been saying that the appendices in this DVD package are the best yet. Because we're getting the movie we wanted in the appendices, not the movie itself.
Good point. Good point, sir. I concede that point again. Smaug the Dragon, you are in the chat room saying the following. Cliff, you said that Saruman would grab the Palantir. Who knew it would be Gandalf? I think that's fantastic. That's really interesting. I really thought that Saruman would find the Palantir in the rubble, but if Gandalf finds that Palantir in Desolation of Smaug and then gets captive while he's trying to help Thorin's father escape, that would be Thrain. Wouldn't that be intriguing if the Palantir is still left sitting there on the ground? And maybe there is a shot somewhere still
what I think
of
happens.
Christopher Lee finding the damn thing. Maybe that footage still exists.
You know,
Wow.
It's fresh in my mind because I just saw it on the big screen last week and I was fully attentive. Here's what happens. Here's what I think might have happened. Gandalf, in his rescuing Thrain, he discovers the Palantir. It either falls out of the hand or he doesn't totally break it loose. He feels that there's something in there, and right after that shot that we just showed, a battle ensues. He gets captured, and I think that's when
he never gets to take it right out of the statue.
Gets to take it, and then
he just dusts it off and starts to see what it is.
When we get to the Battle of Dol Guldur, you'll notice that Gandalf is completely he's incapacitated.
That's the word.
He doesn't even stand up on his own.
He is severely wounded, and
he doesn't even talk. He whispers, "Come with me." He whispers to Galadriel, "Come with me, lady."
Yeah, he's desperate to have her healing.
Yeah.
She's the one who has the healing power, but she's got to save her power to deal with Sauron.
He does not point to the Palantir, so he's already on the bunny sled, and he's out of there by the time Saruman shows up and says, and it's like, "Leave Sauron to me." And then Saruman, that would explain why Gandalf would have a hard time saying, actually, that puts new context to when Gandalf says, "Where did you get this?"
Yes, yes.
Where did you get this? In Fellowship of the Ring, Saruman proudly says...
Reveals it,
and Gandalf says, "Where did you get this?"
And he says...
Gandalf knows where he got it.
What does Gandalf say in Fellowship of the Ring? The lost seeing stones have not all been recovered? What did he say?
Yeah.
We don't know who else might be watching? His dialogue is...
Yes, exactly.
I'm very lame at remembering the exact quote. Sorry. I lose nerd points for not knowing the exact quote. We do not know where they are, the lost seeing stones. They're not all accounted for.
That's right.
That's what he says.
And maybe Gandalf knows more about the Seeing Stones than Saruman does as far as the power.
Anonymous 7703 says they also confirmed that the orc was meant to fight with her longer, with the ring showing flashes of ancient elves.
Yes.
Wow, that's badass.
Kind of like we see in Shadow of Mordor. You see the shadow mode when you go in the Shadow World. You see the white of the elves and stuff like that.
As you're seeing their fae, their spirit, as Professor Tolkien would call it. Yes. Thank you, guys.
It looks like the acorn scene. Let's go back to that scene. We've got a scene description from the message boards. Bilbo is chatting with Bard. Bard the bowman. Our message board commenter says, "Gorgeous scene. I can't wait for you to see it." And you know what? We don't see it. In the extended edition theatrical film, you have to watch the appendices. Bilbo bends down and starts digging in the dirt in a tight shot. Bard says, "Bilbo!" And Bard approaches. Bilbo pulls up the acorn and puts it in the ground. And a version of "The Road Goes Ever On" begins playing from Fellowship of the Ring, track 36 of the complete recordings. Bard says, "What is that?" Bilbo stands up. "That's a promise. Beneath all that blood and that dirt, there's a chance of new life. It may sound hopeless, but it may sound foolish, but really, what else can you do? When faced with death, what can anyone do? You go on living."
Fantastic.
Buries,
That's fantastic.
Bilbo, according to this scene in the appendices, He buries this on the battlefield as a promise. Under all this blood, life shall spring.
That's a fantastic moment, and it is very reminiscent of a Miyazaki theme.
That's the Tolkien we want out of this movie.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Don't you feel?
Yeah, imagine if we had cut back to an ending shot where the sprout of a little sapling was just beginning to grow on the battlefield, because that's the way Miyazaki finishes his final shot on Princess Mononoke. He has one of the tree spirits standing there and looking at a little sprout that is just growing up out of the ground as a symbol of renewal, the renewal of nature and the promise of the natural cycle reasserting itself over the world of men. This is fantastic. I got a text here from Iriwana Undomiel.
Please tell me the Alfred scenes are cut. No, they're actually extended.
There's more Alfred scenes.
There's more Alfred
scenes
in this but the extra scenes of Alfred are 100% worth it.
They're worth it just to see him meet his demise. That's why
Alfred's
they're worth it.
noble end. Shall we say.
She says in this text on the hotline, our wonderful audience member says, Cliff, I'm really confused. Was Smaug supposed to be part of the battle? It looks like it from the concept art. Well, no, by absolutely no means, ever, never was Smaug supposed to be part of the battle. The reason why the Battle of the Five Armies happens, it's only predicated on Smaug's death. That's the only reason why the battle happens. So I am as confused as you why that concept art showed what it showed.
You know what? But as I tell this, I'll tell you about Alfred's extra scenes right now. But while I'm telling it, could you
Ravandi, thank you. We got it.
Check your little memory banks there and tell me, is there any history of the Lord of the Rings extended edition where something got cut out or shortened from the theatrical? Can you remember anything in Lord of the Rings that got cut out or shortened? While he's thinking about that, I'll tell you about the Alfred scene. The extra Alfred scene. No. The extra Alfred scene is his noble death. After he parts with Bard, he's still got the bosoms of gold, and you find him hiding in a catapult or something like that.
And he's still in Mandrag. He's still in drag with his gold in his chest and his bosoms.
Through the weight of those breasts, the catapult is triggered, and he ends up point blank in the open mouth of a troll, and he chokes. The troll chokes on Alfred, and Alfred dies in the mouth of a troll.
And Kaelin is here in our chat room. Hello, Kaelin. Great to see you. Yes, Alfred dies gloriously, and it's his greed that does him in. Very fitting. Very fitting. Just like the Master of Lake Town. It's his own greed that
concept art. So some of this concept art, according to people in the chat room, this concept art shows the direct alliance between Sauron and Smaug, which would make sense because in Desolation of Smaug, Smaug tells Bilbo, I know all about your journey. I know about King Thorin. I know why you're here, and I've seen it. So in the dialogue of Desolation of Smaug, Smaug basically admits that he's already talked to Sauron, brah, and he knows what's up. So according to this artwork,
I didn't get that Smaug admitted that he was talking to Sauron.
Oh, totally.
No, he makes an allusion to it, but he doesn't directly say it.
He doesn't directly say it, but he knows everything that's going on, just like the Goblin King knew what was going on.
Well, he knew that Azog was tracking Thorin and wanted to get,
I think that would have been cool to show Smaug hooking up with Sauron.
That concept art shows what Gandalf was most afraid of. What everybody was afraid of, Gandalf in particular, and this is the reason why Gandalf was motivated to help Thorin in the quest of Erebor in the first damn place. Everybody on, the side of the White Council, on the side of Gandalf's slant, everyone was thinking about what would happen if the enemy were able to use the dragon as a weapon. And, of course, Saruman, in his condescending way, says, what enemy? There's no enemy. Sauron was defeated, and we don't have anything to worry about. And Elrond says, yes, we've had all these years of watchful peace. And Gandalf says, peace? Is that what we call it? Is that what's going on here? And he's, trying to raise their concerns that There's something much more nefarious going on. And I think that concept art succeeds. Maybe if they were going to show a flashback or something of
it was
what
a vision of Gandalf's vision of
what it would look like.
If they don't kill that dragon, he will side with the bad side.
What would be interesting if Gandalf puts his hand on that palantir that's in the statue's hand, and what if that's the vision that he sees?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
What if that's the vision that he sees, is the dragon being allied with the forces of Dol Guldur?
Well, that's not in the movie, but
not in the movie, but it sure would be cool.
I tell you what is in this movie. This shot, this entire scene, it's so good. It's so much better. When Gandalf is brought out of the cage, his hand is placed upon the chopping block, and that big orc
wants to chop not his head off, he wants to chop his finger off.
He wants his finger off. He's like, where are the other rings? The dialogue from the orc is where are the others? The elvish rings, and they go into more detail about the mythology of the rings, how the elves, because they already have the 9.
Yes.
And so they were looking for the three elven rings. So he was
several of the dwarven rings were lost to other dragons and lost to time, but they took the one from Thrain. Yeah. They did take at least the one.
So all he wanted out of Gandalf was that one ring on his finger.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is that orc that almost chops off that fights Galadriel.
He was the first character design of Bolg, wasn't he?
He was Bolg.
Yes. And the original Bolg.
That Bolg is scary.
Yes, he is.
And I would be terrified if I saw Keely, Feely, Tauriel, any of those guys fighting that guy. If there is footage of those actors fighting with that costumed white orc.
Anonymous 68481 says, I can confirm the 6-movie super extended edition box set sometime in 2017. Really? How can you confirm that? Tell us your source.
Well,
tell us your source.
No.
We want to know.
Spymaster@thewandering.net. Email spymaster@thewandering.net. Or this is an exclusive for the chat room. We're glad you're joining us on the chat.
We're very glad to have you guys here because you're making our show a better show, as you always do every week.
Bolg should have stayed that design. I agree with that chat room.
I agree. I agree. Bolg should have stayed that excellent, creepy design. It was fantastic.
Whatever negative filming issues that you have with a prosthetic pales in comparison to the digital issues you have with the digital orc.
That is fair to say. Again, we're in agreement a lot on today's show. I can't believe we're agreeing so much.
Let's actually show.
Very good point, sir.
This isn't really fair to the extended edition. You should buy it. It's an amazing film. So let's show some stuff that's actually in the movie. We've just spent too much time showing you stuff that's not in the movie, only in the appendices. But let's show you stuff that's actually in the movie, like this.
Yes.
Wonderful shot. There is. That looks like a dwarven hall. That looks like a Beorn, and looks like a couple wizards with Gandalf holding the thing.
What thing? Holding his staff? That's part of the funeral sequence, isn't it?
Well, let's show you. Let's show you what the actual scene looks like. Boom. There's the actual scene. We start with showing. We show these 3 characters. I wish there was some dialogue. I so want these guys to talk to each other. These are the 3 smartest characters in the entire Hobbit trilogy.
Who is the dwarf standing between Beorn and Gandalf there?
That's Boffer's hat, I think.
That's Boffer? Without his hat?
So,
there's Balin.
Beorn gives a nod to Balin.
Yes.
So, and Balin nods. And then, because they're all surrounded, here's a great shot of Dwalin Graham McTavish.
And Dory, yes. Dory played by Mark Hadlow on the left.
And that's a cold corpse of a Thorin.
Oh, yes, there's Thorin's dead body in the foreground. Oh, overhead shot of Thorin with the Arkenstone in his hands.
There is your result. I wish they had kept this in the theatrical version.
Is that Orcrist under his arms at his right-hand side?
So they should have kept this shot. If not for the whole scene, they should have kept this shot and then cut to the bridge. If they had done that in the theatrical edition, we would have gone back to see it more and more in theaters. I can't believe
I would have.
I can't believe they cut this out of the theatrical version. This is so much closure. It closes the sword. It closes the Arkenstone.
Yeah.
This answers all the questions the main questions that people had walking out of the theatrical edition is, what happened to the Arkenstone and what about that funeral? All they needed was this shot.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
That is all the closure that you need.
Someone in the chat room was asking about that shot of Gandalf with the Palantir.
There's Philly.
To answer your question, that picture of Gandalf touching a Palantir on the statue, the statuary that's within Dol Guldur, that doesn't exist in any extended edition of any film. It doesn't exist in any version of the film anywhere.
It's appendices only.
It's
That's
just
why
in the appendix of the Battle of the Five Armies, and it is obviously a retroactive hint of something that would have happened in Desolation of Smaug that did not happen. So that's what that is.
And then we
Holy
see,
cow.
and we see here. Look at this shot. The one person that truly breaks down at the funeral.
Oh, you're kidding.
Bilbo.
Okay, right.
And Bilbo just goes to pieces over his friend. And this is the punctuation. This is the top punctuation line that we needed to hit home the punctuation point on the final shot when Bilbo's at Bag End, and they say, "Who did you pledge your service to? Who is this Thorin Oakenshield?" And Bilbo pauses and says, "He was a friend."
When he's being challenged by the auctioneer
Yes.
at the front door of Bag End.
We needed this shot
Yes.
as the first part of that punctuation of that scene, and it just strikes me that this entire scene was shot. And here's the big shot that we thought that was based on the original artwork with Beorn, the two wizards, and there is all the dwarves of the Iron Hills paying tribute to their fallen king.
Their fallen king. Wow.
And
people...
Erevandi's
so sweet, crying because Bilbo was crying.
That's right. In the theater, people were sniffling and crying. They held it together. I'll tell you. You really hold it together because you're at the funeral. It's shot beautifully. It's well paced. It's slow. It gives you time to breathe. And you see that nod between Beorn and Balin. And you're like, okay, this is an upstanding funeral. And then you see Bilbo hold it in and then fall to pieces, and it just waterworks. If you're there, you're not in this world, you're in Middle Earth at that point when you see Bilbo break down in tears. And it's the most important part of this movie, and it's a shame that it was left out of the theatrical version.
It is a shame that everyone agrees fundamentally that this extended version of Battle of the Five Armies is what should have been delivered to us in theaters as a theatrical cut.
And here is
no doubt about it. I'm not going to mince words. If I have a future conversation with Philippa, who I sometimes speak with in this wide world, or anybody else on the team, I wouldn't hesitate to actually say, why didn't you guys give us that stuff in the theatrical version? Because that's the film. That's the film that brings to a close, in the most appropriate way, these different narrative threads of all these characters.
They made such a big deal about that Arkenstone and that sword, and the fact that they didn't have closure. Anyways,
Tauriel doesn't get any closure in the extended edition. Something I've been complaining about for a year now. She's still left weeping and holding, the body of.
I would have loved more
Keely
Tauriel
there
and less Alfred.
Ravenhill.
And I just don't know why they didn't give.
Nah.
You know what? They really should have replaced. They should have switched Tauriel and Legolas's role completely. I would have loved to see. I would have been sold if Tauriel grabbed that bat and flew that bat and slayed all those orcs and then rescued Legolas. Tauriel needed to rescue Legolas, not the vice versa. I would have been sold if Tauriel was the Super Mario.
Yes,
that would have been cool. That's fine.
That would have been super cool.
But finishing up on this funeral.
Oh, you have another bit.
Hail to the king.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
That is the new.
That is what you say at the moment of transition from one monarch to another. King
under the mountain, King Dane Ironfoot.
And he's actually wearing Thror's crown.
Yes.
The crown that we see Thror wearing in An Unexpected Journey.
So
Right.
that isn't all CG. He kind of, you can tell his face on the right side of the screen looks a little plasticky, but he gets his crown, gets his thorn. Now let's compare that with the original theatrical. That's the actual Billy Connolly in costume. If you notice, he's got a little more gray around the thing. That looks like a real man with the red axe and everything. You know, I like how he looks here on set in person, and then I don't know why they just changed him just a little bit in CG and digital production. They claim that the theatrical, or not the theatrical, what they shot on set, they claim that you couldn't see his eyes, that his eyes were too buried, and you know Billy.
Oh, that person who was standing there, that wasn't a dwarf. That is Radagast at the funeral. He has his hat off.
Yeah.
Is that Radagast?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the guy in the foreground.
No, the guy in the middle in the background. That's Radagast.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so. Thank you for clarifying. We got a nice text message on the hotline.
Yeah.
That's. Well, of course you better take your hat off at the
King
funeral.
Under the Mountain.
Wow.
You know what? It also been cool if they had just a little bit of dialogue, maybe before he was king, maybe on the battlefield, of him and Balin, kind of like at each other's throats, to set up some context of Balin going to Moria. You know, if Balin had said something like, "Oh, not this guy again," you know, or like
Yeah.
I can never, or if Balin had said something like, "If the worst befalls the line of Durin, you know, I will not follow Ironfoot." Like something to set up that Balin would even consider going to Moria, knowing what they dug up. Like it's just something that they could have thought of, but you know, that's Dane.
That's something I always wanted. I always wanted some specific dialogue from Ken Stott, or even maybe from Adam Brown, who plays Ori. You know, saying we're getting ready to start our next expedition.
There's Philly.
We're going to reclaim our other lost
Killy.
kingdom in Moria.
That's Killy. Here's Philly on set. I guess that's movie accurate. Philly does die first, but not like that. That's just a behind the scenes shot. It's great to the behind the scenes features.
Oh, Jan Nicolaisen says that we should have gotten closure on the white gems. The white gems, and that was shot too. Which is what,
oh my gosh!
That's what Thranduil wanted the whole damn time, was those white gems.
I wanted more.
The white gems of Lost
Thranduil.
Galen, right?
You know what? And in this extended edition, Thranduil has more lines. He has almost double the dialogue he had in theatrical.
Yes, he does.
He is a snarky SOB.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Thranduil, Lee Pace's Thranduil, and Dane Ironfoot go at each other on the battlefield. You know, like they go toe to toe. Like he can throw a verbal punch.
Oh yes.
I wanted to see more Thranduil. I so wanted to see more Thranduil.
Yes.
I wanted
yes,
more
did.
dialogue. He grew on me. He's the unsung hero. Like, you know what? You know how Carl Urban became like everybody's favorite in Lord of the Rings? Like nobody expected that this little character of the Rohirrim would have such a big impact, but then he does. Like, and you're there with him.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Thranduil. Give me more. More. I'm so
Let's see.
glad.
White gems of. There they are. So I personally, I'd like to know where we found out the details that more footage was shot that resolves Thranduil getting those gems. I believe the gems belong to his dead wife. We get this dialogue. We get this dialogue between father and son about
they mentioned that
your mother loved you, Legolas. But
he mentions that in the extended edition.
Yes.
There is more. Like I said, there's double the dialogue for Thranduil.
So that's mentioned. That's okay. Yes, it is.
So you do get the backstory of the gems.
That's excellent.
Someone in the chat room says, Hannah in the chat room says, just watched all the behind the scenes of the extended edition, and that was quite intense. Too many tears. People on our
hello, Hannah. Oh, it's great to have you, Hannah. Always great.
People
to see you.
on our message boards are saying that people are crying more during the bonus features than they did in the actual movie. There's so much good stuff in the bonus features. Put it in the dang movie. It's time for a re-edit, a fan edit of the Hobbit trilogy, but instead
Yes.
of cutting it down,
Yes.
you know what? Put it all in. Time for get your fan edits out. Let's see.
Oh
this
yes,
happen.
okay, it's on the new message boards. Yeah, Jan, be so kind and post the dialogue from the scene right here in this live chat room so that we can go over it
Or
with
text
the live
us.
show.
Text us 530-64
Absolutely.
Frodo.
Um,
Do the white gulls call? No, we don't see the white gulls.
well, see, they're reciting the whole lyric of Into the West.
Okay.
Line by line by line, someone in here, several fans are enjoying
Why do the white gulls? Oh, I see. I
the
see.
beautiful Annie Lennox sung
Now, the-
Oscar-winning performance by Annie Lennox of Into the West. Okay, on the gems, Gandalf says to Thranduil, "Those gems were not all your wife left you, my friend. She left you a son." Ah, yes, very good. That's very good. So the Gandalf Thranduil context, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
I
that.
wish there was a DVD button that says insert all deleted scenes into the movie. Like that'd have been super fun. You know, one of the most fun new scenes. This is I can see why they cut this. Well, one of the most fun new scenes is this scene with Beaufort. He is a hero among heroes, and he just has so much fun. Now, before I show you actually what he's writing. Yes. Let me explain. There's an early scene with Beaufort that they should have kept in the theatrical version. Beaufort
We agreed
is
that all of
on
these
the watch.
should have been.
Beaufort's on the watch of the wall
Yeah.
as Bilbo's trying to escape and give the
Oh,
Arkenstone.
and take the Arkenstone to the camp.
And he has a moment
at the
with
ruins of
Bilbo.
Dale, yes.
And he catches Bilbo trying to escape, and he has this moment. Because Beaufort's the only one that ever said, "Where's Bilbo?" If you
Yeah.
watch the first two Hobbit movies,
Yeah.
he's the only one that ever cares where Bilbo is.
Yeah, and he's the only one who
Multiple
says, "I
times.
wish you well. I truly
Yes.
do."
He's
and
the
he
only
means
one
it.
that cares.
When Bilbo says he's going to leave outside the Goblin's front door.
And
Yes.
so in
The front porch
in this
of the Goblins.
extended edition that you will see in the extended edition, there's a goodbye scene. They spend a few minutes
Yeah?
conversing with each other.
Yeah?
It's been a hell of a journey type style. And Beaufort says, "You know what? My watch ends in 15 minutes, and it'll take me a long time to wake up Bomber." And as he walks away
Yes.
from the wall, Beaufort says, "Goodbye, Bilbo." And that was the best goodbye. It was better than the end. It was better than the ending goodbye. The best goodbye in the whole movie comes from Beaufort. He's the best. And then, not 20 minutes later, when we're in the middle of a battle, Beaufort, through the magic of dwarfs, Beaufort is the Orlando Bloom of dwarves.
Yes, he is.
Beaufort
Yes.
is the Legolas of...
That's right.
Because Beaufort takes control of one of the huge trolls. And if you look at this picture at the very top, you can see that's a little Beaufort controlling this big, huge, nasty troll that's been Dol Guldured him out. I mean, they bulged him out with feet of stone and arms of metal. And there's this huge chase scene, which you saw in the trailer, down the ice spike. It's not just a quick shot; it's an entirely new scene.
The ice chariot running
The
down
ice
through
chariot
across
scene
the river.
is amazing.
So good.
It's
so
the
good.
best part of the entire movie is the chase scene. It was so much fun. Jan is reading the boards, crying for not seeing it. And now I will say that I can understand why the chase scene was cut from the theatrical version. I can understand why this scene might have not been done in time, and let me tell you why. It's rumored that Fast and the Furious with Paul Walker was a sudden priority at Weta, Universal Studios, who was producing the movie.
Yes.
And then he had Paul Walker had an accident.
Yes.
After they had done principal, they hadn't quite finished principal photography.
That's right.
So Paul Walker died. They called Weta. They like, "Dude, you guys do an amazing. You guys do the best job with Andy Serkis and digital replacements. Like, we need a digital Paul Walker." So they actually pulled.
Some of their digital team had to go.
Not just some. They pulled Joe Letteri off The Hobbit.
Oh no shit.
The guy in charge, Joe Letteri.
I didn't realize this.
Is the Oscar-nominated,
Yes.
Oscar-winning for Lord of the Rings, Oscar-nominated for Hobbit. Joe Letteri is the VFX supervisor for The Hobbit. They
Yes.
pulled him off The Hobbit. They said, "You know what? Come here." And he got to assemble his team, and they had 4 months so they took a break from The Hobbit, and they say you got 4 months to figure this out. So Joe Letteri left The Hobbit and his best team, and they went and did the Paul Walker scenes. Some amazing work. 350 shots. If you go to our Facebook and Twitter page, I've posted some of the pictures from Fury 7.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You wouldn't believe some of those shots were all digital from Weta.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can understand why that CGI chase scene on the frozen river was cut. I can imagine that, you know what, they had to do something about Paul Walker, and I commend them on that. I think the movie, the theatrical, worked without the chase scene, and the extended edition.
Are you going to tell me there's not enough special effects people to work in this business that can go
not
and work?
Not at that level.
Okay. Oh, fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
You know what? That's very touching, and that's really kind of nice that they would choose to help the producers of the other films finish what they needed to finish.
You know, and people in the chat room are saying that
very interesting.
Tumblr's favorite part, the people on Tumblr are loving all the Thranduil stuff.
That's showing up in the appendices.
The background on the Thranduil stuff. But I just love Beaufort.
Hannah?
He's the best. Beaufort's the best.
He is the best, and that's why you've styled yourself as our Beaufort for a long time.
And
let me ask you, Hannah,
Beaufort.
How long did it take you in hours to watch all of the appendices content that was just released today with the extended version of Battle of the Five Armies? If you're still there in the live chat, please let us know, Hannah, how long it took. And Jan says, PJ always said in The Lord of the Rings that the extended editions were not made just to have a director's cut. In fact, he considers the extended editions of LOTR to be the definitive version, and we do too. From a fan perspective, I will never watch Desolation of Smaug ever again unless it's the extended version. Same goes for Battle of the Five Armies.
But
really,
it's not true. The same does not hold true for most people on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like, I can watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy on TBS or TNT, and I feel fulfilled. Like, I feel like these are great movies. They're complete. I got a full story.
Yeah.
And you know, stuff like that. In fact, this weekend, TNT showed a return. Showed the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and then they jumped right into the first Hobbit film. So it was 4 movies, back to back, and it was great. I was just like, yes, they did the credits, the ending of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and then they jumped. You know how they do split screen, and then they jumped right into the Hobbit.
They jumped right into the Hobbit,
and it was great.
That is so cool.
I was just like, yes, this is how it's supposed to be done.
It is how it's supposed to be done. Well, actually, I think that the Hobbit movies are supposed to be digested all in one go. That's the way they work best. And that's probably why I would have preferred Del Toro's 2-film setup instead of 3, but ultimately
PJ does consider the theatrical cuts of Lord of the Rings the definitive version. I mean, he had final cut on that, and the extended editions were just extra for fan service.
Oh, okay, Jan, so I understand what you're saying.
So
Jan.
he feels that Peter feels the opposite about The Hobbit.
Okay.
The inverse is true about The Hobbit. Peter feels that these are the definitive versions.
I regard the extended cuts as being a novelty for the fans that really want to see the extra material. Quote unquote from Peter Jackson. All right, very good, Jan. Thank you for setting the record straight. I appreciate getting that information. I personally separate films, but conversely, I think the Hobbit movies need to be watched together. They need to be watched together. And in the extended editions. And they definitely need to be in the extended editions. There's no closure. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much. There's no closure. This extended edition, Battle of Five Armies, is so dense with mythology between the rings and Beorn involved and the funerals, and we see. Well, you get that extra stuff about the rings when you watch extended version of DOS, and same applies with this, with Battle of the Five Armies. How long do you think it's going to take before they make an announcement? Now, I know that someone in the chat room was just playing with me about confirming that it's a 2017 release. Professionally speaking, with the home video market going the way it's going, how long do you think Warner Brothers says we're going to put together a 6-film super special edition? I think next year. For Christmas. Yep.
I think so.
Do you think they're going to work right now with this product, Extended Battle of the Five Armies, for this Christmas?
God, they can, look,
And then they'll put together 3 Hobbit boxed set of 3 extended editions for this Christmas. And then
the Hobbit trilogy is available before the.
It is available.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think it'll give everybody down there in New Zealand 1 year of time to go pull out the dusty old film reels, all that extra stuff that they shot.
Oh, it was all
for
It
Lord
was
of the
all
Rings.
digitized.
It has been digitized since then, but you know, I'm being playful. It will give the people down in New Zealand working with Peter, and it will give Howard Shore and the people working with Howard a whole year to change the music cues, add new visual effects, and add the new material. I've never been more convinced than I have been now that there is something in the future for us, a super special edition with even more
Something
added content.
I've been saying for 2 years now.
Yep.
Kalen, you're absolutely right. This movie has the closure that we needed from the characters that we wanted, but not enough closure for all the characters. And I agree, if these were truly extended edition fan services, Peter would have included all the closure for all the things.
Okay, Smaug the Dragon says, does PJ have an actual cameo in Battle of the Five Armies Extended Edition? I don't like the painting being the cameo in the theatrical. Well, I thought that Peter's
daughter is in it. She's in Lake Town.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in Lake Town. I also see her as the serving lady in Desolation of Smaug. In the scenes in Bree, in the prologue. Wait a minute.
You know what? That whole Smaug scene at the beginning of this movie still doesn't belong. It doesn't.
The whole Smaug scene?
Smaug needed to die in the second movie.
That's why you want to watch all 3 films together in one complete set. I agree with you, Kalen. It brings together, it helps catch overall plot lines when you watch the Hobbit movies really close together. Maybe not in one evening, but maybe together over a couple of nights.
Anonymous in the chat room
really
says,
does make a difference.
there's more Beorn. Of course, look at this shot. Now, the key thing here is Beorn is talking to Gandalf and Radagast. Radagast still has his staff, so Radagast has not rescued Gandalf from Dol Guldur and handed his thing yet. I almost feel that that Radagast rescues Gandalf. They go to Beorn's house first. Radagast says, Beorn, help me, help Gandalf.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Hey, maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's how they end up there before they go to Roscoe. Maybe they stop.
And then there's a handoff.
Maybe they stop at Beorn's house first. Wow, okay.
But
very, very cool.
So there's
there's
definitely, dude, I wanted more Beorn and I wanted more Thranduil. Look, and here's the thing, like, we've both been on film sets and we kind of know how it works. Like, if you start to see magic and like a repertoire grow between actors on set, and you start to feel some magic on stage, you work with it. You're like, you know what? That's going in the movie. That's going in the movie. How did they cut all this Thranduil stuff? And Beorn, he was so great. Now let me ask you this.
We're getting a new question.
Yes.
Someone said to Eruana Undomiel that Billy Boyd has a brief little background or a cameo somewhere in the extended edition of BOTFA.
I did not see that, but again, that's why you need the
that's why you need to have the home version so you can watch it and freeze frame it.
That's why
we haven't found him yet. I didn't see him.
Actually,
I didn't see him.
Best would be the iTunes version that you can get right now in the US because it's easier to freeze frame.
Here's a great question, a really good question from Jan and Nikolaisen. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Forgive me, Jan.
Let me ask you this real quick before you get there.
But it's such a great question. What you got?
Beorn was the original person that was set up to be cast as Beorn. Was not Mikael Persbrandt. It was
really? Who was it?
It was Ron Perlman.
Oh wow, that's right. That would have been Del Toro's buddy, Ron Perlman. He would have been a fantastic Beorn all around. Well, I love Mikael Persbrandt. He was a fantastic Beorn. We just didn't see enough of him. But yeah, hey, Ron Perlman.
Just enough of that gruff, like, you know what? I'm sick of this Middle Earth. Like, our time is over, bros. They messed me up in those dungeons. And I'm done.
Bringing Ron Perlman right after he finished the series finale of Sons of Anarchy. That would have been great. What a great transition for him. But I'm very intrigued by this. someone here in the chat room.
Yeah, Smaug the Dragon in the chat room says, Gandalf even says to Radagast, I need a horse. Radagast doesn't have a horse. Beorn has horses.
And
that's set up early in the trilogy.
that explains how Gandalf got the horse that he uses to get over to the ruins of Dale.
Special edition, extended edition.
Wow.
You know,
special edition has to be forthcoming. It has to be.
Normally, I would say this is not the version to buy. Do not buy this DVD. Like we said with the theatrical DVD.
Wow.
But no, you do want
Crazy.
to buy this. You want to buy this version, Hobbit extended edition. You want to buy this. You need to see all this stuff.
This is one of the most fascinating questions. I agree with your curiosity here, Jan. Do you think, he says in the question, do you think The Hobbit can reach Lord of the Rings level with all the deleted footage added back in? No, I don't think that was necessarily the point.
It can reach Hobbit level compared to Lord of the Rings, the book.
The Hobbit was a different book than The Lord of the Rings, and
Yes.
it has a very different tone. However, The Hobbit changes its tone, and it goes, in the beginning, from being a very, very silly,
Dwarves at the table, blah, blah, blah.
It's very like Wizard of Oz style children's fantasy.
And there was no more singing. I wanted...
There's a lot of wink to the audience, even in Professor Tolkien's third-person narrator voice in The Hobbit. There's a lot of wink, giggle, and that's the way the children's story was crafted back in the 1930s. That's the way it was done.
Gandalf should have said, I need a bunny.
I need a bunny. I think the filmmakers wanted to keep the overall tone of The Hobbit lighter. That's why there's more comedy. That's why
there's not more comedy.
The Lord of the Rings doesn't have any comedy compared to the amount of comedy you get in The Hobbit.
Nope.
Wait a minute. The dwarves
Billy
are
Boyd,
pulling table legs off of
Merry,
burning them in
and
the fireplace.
Pippin are more.
They throw a
funny.
sausage to Bomber, and Bomber does a pratfall. You don't get banana peel slips and falls in Lord of the Rings. You get a lot of banana peel slips and falls in The Hobbit.
You get drunk Legolas say,
No,
I feel a little tingle. You get dwarves, you get
any.
hobbits dancing on the table.
The only slight comedic relief that Lord of the Rings gets is when Gimli
You're going to have to
gets
toss me.
I can't jump the distance, you're going to have to toss me.
Don't
tell the elf.
Merry and Pippin are comedy.
Merry and Pippin are a constant source
and
of comedy.
They're smoking
but
drunk
I'm telling you,
in Isengard.
The simp that was smoking something out of their minds, but it was supposed to be tobacco. Thank you. To answer your question, I don't think that adding all that missing footage to The Hobbit would have brought it up to the Lord of the Rings level of drama, because The Hobbit needed to be at a more lighthearted fable. It needed to have that level of storytelling, only because it progresses through its own narrative. By the time it gets to the end of The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, then it gets more serious.
Yeah.
And by the time you get into Lord of the Rings, it becomes absolutely operatic. It becomes so serious that the stakes are so much higher, it becomes very, very much like going to German opera and going to see The Ring of the Nibelungen by Richard Wagner. And you go back to the opera house night after night after night to see all the pieces of the opera. But The Hobbit, I
laughed more in Lord of the Rings than I did in The Hobbit. I laughed more in Lord of the Rings.
You did?
Yep, 100%.
See, that's because I didn't find all the pratfalls with Bomber as funny as I liked the banter with Billy and Dominic. Just my preference. Just my preference.
And we've talked about this before, and maybe we should do a whole show. But
hold on. Anonymous 7703 says they don't go to Beorn's house. Beorn is captured and tortured. Radagast rescues him in Dol Guldur, which is why he is absent from so much of the sequence. After they arrive back at Radagast's house in Rosgobel, Gandalf tries to convince Beorn to join the battle. Beorn, having been rescued, is with them, but edited out of the extended edition. Wow. That's intriguing.
Gosh.
Wow.
Yes, I want that.
Wow, how did you get those details?
I want
our anonymous chatter?
It's all in the extended edition and the appendices.
In all the appendices.
Yes.
Wow, super wow.
Look,
I've got to get my hands on this extended edition, but I'm personally waiting for the Blu-ray. I'm waiting for the Blu-ray. The physical copy.
The biggest issue with the comedy in the Hobbit trilogy is that they got the wrong editors. The film editors were not comedy editors. They had a funny script very funny. They hired the funniest comedians in the world. James Nesbitt is hilarious. Who played the Great Goblin? He is hilarious. Dame Edna, you know, the Master of Lake Town, Stephen Fry. This cast is bulletproof when it comes to comedy. None of them are funny.
Yeah.
None of them are funny.
Yeah.
So you had a funny script with funny actors in funny situations, and we don't laugh. We laughed more at Gimli.
Most of the comedy,
and that's in the editing.
Most of the comedy that's added back into The Hobbit is evident in An Unexpected Journey. You get the comedy of the dwarves defacing everything in Rivendell. You hear, you know, the guy from the guy from Flight of the Conchords, who's there playing the elf with Elrond. He's like, the kitchen can't handle the strain. We're almost out of wine. We can't deal with the dwarves anymore. And then we get these shots of them, you know, snapping each other's asses with wet towels in the fountain where they're taking a bath.
We didn't get anything like that after that.
You get comedy left and right. There's An Unexpected Journey.
I expected a song at the end of Battle of Five Armies.
Guess what? Our wonderful Valentine Radushev, who is a very, very close friend of the OneRing.net Trust. He says, you mentioned songs in The Hobbit. According to my favorite dwarf, Owen, played by the amazing John Callan. Hear, hear! John Callan is amazing. He's fantastic. There were 2 more songs which did not make it into the final cut of Battle of the Five Armies. There was a funeral song, which all the dwarves sang, almost like a sorrowful chant.
Great.
That would have been so powerful if they'd put that in the film. That would have caused even more weeping. It would have been freaking brilliant. I'm pissed off that they didn't keep that in the film.
It opened with a song, Bend the Knives and Bend the Forks.
It ends with a song? It begins with a song, should end with a song. And then the other one was The Wind Was on the Withered Heath. Sadly, none of it made it to the final cut. Thank you, Valentine, for sharing those details. And I'm just aggravated now. I'm just a fanboy.
Now we know what was there.
I believe that these extended editions are coming to us as fan service, but
unfortunately, it's not good movie service.
With the Battle of the Five Armies,
movie.
That's the movie we should have gotten in the first damn place in theaters a year ago. That's just me. That's just me.
Well, as we wrap up the show, we have to say, go buy it if you can. Buy the digital version. It's easy. You can watch it on all your devices. You can freeze frame it. You can take screenshots much easier.
Yep.
You get all the bonus features. And then, as far as we know right now, hold off on pre-ordering the DVD or Blu-ray edition. We don't know if there's going to be different bonus features on different versions of the film, as has happened on the last 2 DVD releases.
That has happened. Yes,
so on the last 2 extended editions, they put this bonus feature on this exclusive. Target had this, Amazon had that. You get a statue with this, but you get a Lego with that. But that bonus feature on the actual video.
That's what the regular DVD versions. The Blu-rays are all the same. The Blu-ray releases have the same appendices all around.
But there was extra stuff. In addition to appendices, there was, like, you know, this bonus feature.
Yeah, a couple of extras.
Deleted scenes were only available.
Let me ask you guys, whoever's got access to the iTunes today, and I know Hannah, I love you, dear. You're in the room with us. Hannah, and you've just finished watching all the behind the scenes. Where's the stuff about Thorin's father, Thrain? All the stuff in the extended edition Desolation of Smaug completely omits the conversation about adding I don't know, how many different actors did they use? I think they used 2, maybe 3 different actors for all the portrayals of Thrain throughout this Hobbit trilogy. I really want to know if the missing stuff about Thrain and Gandalf's rescue of Thrain in Dol Guldur, I would like to know if the appendices now, in today's Battle of the Five Armies release, has that missing content.
12 dwarves.
I really want to know if it's in there.
Comedic interaction. I agree with you in the chat room. You got 12 dwarves. And in fact, some of the dwarves hailed from funny period pieces like Xena, Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
You know, so you had and Xena had the right amount of comedy, and I feel like Xena, Warrior Princess, and Hercules had just the right amount of that humor. It was it was serious when it needed to be serious, but then it was like slapstick and fun.
Oh, they went for very broad comedy.
Yeah,
a lot of the time on that show.
And this movie is cast for that. It's written for that.
Yep.
In fact, it's shot for that. But when it came to editing, the editing is total drama, and I just feel that they got the wrong editors. And if you brought in like an Oscar-winning A-list comedy director, get someone from like the Funny or Die crew or something like that, and just give them all the footage and say, all right, you do the re-edit.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see a funny movie. I don't mind a couple,
You know what?
like...
David Bowie did that once, where he released all of his songs digitally, and he said, I'm giving this to all of you homemade DJs out there who are working at home on your computers. Do some mashups. Let's have a contest, and you guys send in some mashups of my music, and let's find out what's the best. So go ahead and do a fan edit. If Bowie can freaking do that with his entire catalog of some of his great songs, wouldn't that be fascinating if Peter Jackson said,
Well,
here's the files from The Hobbit. Why don't you fans out there put together a new mashup, a new fan edit, and supply
give us
the digital files.
Discrete tracks with the sound effects and the music. Just give us a discrete track of just the dialogue.
Their copyright concerns are way too out of control. They would never allow that
The interesting
to happen.
thing, though,
But
is
that would be cool.
that there's a healthy marketplace. Not a marketplace, but there's a healthy community of fan editors out there that are doing all these different fan edits. There's like 5 of them right now. The Hobbit edit, the Tolkien edit, the Halfling edit. There's a bunch of edits, and Warner Brothers has not taken them down. So they're not endorsing it, but they're not sending their lawyers after all this.
That's true.
So
That's true.
It's kind of. I hope this is a good trend, and we hope to see more.
Eriwana Undomiel, what if David Bowie was in The Hobbit, like Labyrinth style? Well, to tell you the truth, going back about 15 or 16 years, before Hugo Weaving was cast as Elrond, the Lord of Rivendell, David Bowie was one of the actors in the front running to play that role.
And you can check one of our old episodes on our YouTube channel where the Nicolas Cage episode, The Cast That Might Have Been. We talk about David Bowie and all the things. It's been a great time chatting with you. We hope you enjoyed this preview of all these deleted scenes and extra scenes in Battle of Five Armies.
And we have to say thank you again to the team from Michael Pellerin and the producers there. You guys are so awesome to supply us with all of these. Show that Gandalf and that Palantir one more time. As we close, we're going to show you one of the most exciting little pieces from the behind the scenes. The appendices are worth buying and getting a hold of. The Blu-ray.
Get 'em.
More than it is just to see the extended edition of the film itself. I promise you, the appendices are gold. Absolute gold. Thank you. Oh, one last thing from Valentine Radushev. I find it sad that Gandalf never got to tell Thorin how his father loved him. Yeah, you know what? That is sad, because that was the one last request before Thrain died. He said, tell my son that I love him. And Gandalf never got close enough to Thorin to say anything except, if you don't like my burglar, please don't damage him. Return him to me.
That's right. He's on the other side of the wall.
Gandalf never got the chance to have a heart-to-heart with Thorin. That is sad. But in the 2 previous extended editions of The Hobbit dealt in some way with the Dwarven Rings of Power, and Thrain, directly or indirectly. In an unexpected journey, Gandalf mentions that Thrain is the holder of the last Dwarven Ring of Power, and in Desolation of Smaug we actually see it. It almost feels like Gandalf could have mentioned it to Thorin. Yeah, but we never got around to that. Hey, you know what?
Special edition.
If at the funeral, while Thorin is lying there, lying in state, on top of his crypt, if Gandalf walks up to him and touches the hand of the king under the mountain and says, your father truly loved you.
That would have been great.
I would have broken down. I would have been shattered in pieces. That would have been the most brilliant thing.
And it would have been
that would have been the most brilliant thing.
And it would have put a good anchor, because Thranduil says the same thing, your mother loved you, to Legolas. So if you intercut Thranduil talking to Legolas saying your mother loved you, and then Gandalf telling a dead Thorin, your father loved you.
Yeah.
You connect all the races of Middle Earth. You say, you know
their
what?
Fathers.
Through
their fathers.
5 armies, but connected over a common love.
You know what? There's a new theme. We've just discovered a new theme that rides through all of the 3 Hobbit films, the sins of the father. It's not something we've talked about before, is it? It seems now much more apparent. When watching the extended editions, it seems that the sins of the father are a strong recurring theme with Bard, Thorin, with
So do the father edit.
We'll have to do.
Thank you for joining us. We're here live every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Very interesting.
From Meltdown Comics. We'll see you this Halloween weekend at Kamicazi, Los Angeles. Tickets are cheap. Use the code word MELT at checkout and get 15% off your tickets. We have a panel on Sunday morning, and we have a booth, and we'll bring the barrel, and we'll do photo ops.
I love that
Barrels full
we
of
still
fun.
Have that barrel.
We'll have shirts. You can buy this right now, shop.theonering.net. And if you come to Meltdown, we've got Sauron pop vinyls, and we've got Tariel pop vinyls here at Meltdown.
Hey, do you know what? Next Tuesday, the 27th of October, which will be our last broadcast before the Kamicazi event, I think we're going to have a special guest. One of our actors from New Zealand is just itching to come on this channel right here live and talk about the axe that was removed from his head.
We got a big November. Not next week, but we got a big November.
Oh, not next week?
We'll see you.
Oh, maybe the week after that.
We'll see you at Kamicazi.
So many surprises coming up, guys. We'll see you very soon.
Thank you for joining us.
It's always lovely to see you. Thank you, and good night.
And this shot says so much.
You are blowing my mind with this.
Look, see the shininess?
Yeah, I can see it. It's like he's dusting it off. It's like he's revealing that it's like not stone.
It's under the stone. It's under.
It's like it's just dust. It looks like it's part of the stone, but it's just dust and dirt. And he's wiping it clean.
And he's got his old staff there.
That is brilliant. I'm so excited about this.
And that's not in the movie. It's not in the movie.
And it should be in the movie. Really?
You really got frustrated over that
I think
shot.
It's important.
That's what we want out of our Tolkien movies.
This is what we want.
Mythology building.
Yeah, well, it makes it all kind of airtight because...
I don't need CG Legolas. I need this.
There's no conversation about the fact that in Orthanc, there already was a Palantir already there when Saruman took over the place. So since that's never talked about in the movies, this scene and Saruman getting his clutches on it would have completed that through line.
Yeah.
And we would have understood how it got there in the first place.
Oh.
Of course, in the books, we understand it was always there. This is so fascinating that we got a hold of this imagery. Isn't it great? I just love it. I love this stuff that we got. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And sweet dreams.